What's up, Bulldog? So I got a question here that I'm going to be talking about. Most people are not free in any sense of it. They're not free by society, by restrictions, right? Even though we might have freedom, we don't have true freedom because we base our actions, we base what we do on what other people think of us. We base it on what's appropriate, given a context. We base it on what makes us feel like we are acceptable. We're afraid to be embarrassed. We're afraid of all of these things. We're afraid of rejection, right? All of these things make us not free as a human being. We're afraid of risk. There's a ton of things that prevent us from reaching the level of freedom which we should be operating at, right? In addition to, the restrictions that we are actually like legally put on us through society as well. But most of the freedom, or most of the lack of freedom, is actually within ourselves, within our minds. We have chosen to give up our freedom in order to be more comfortable in life. I like to talk about this topic because one of my goals in life is to attain more and more freedom by freeing myself, right? And we can all free ourselves. Let me answer this comment here, and this comment is from Mr. Hypertrophy. Nice name there. He says, John, I always feel carefree. But once I try to talk loud or scream or park loudly, I think he means bark loudly. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could park loudly, but I feel it's not congruent. While I'm 100% carefree, but I'm doing that just to do it, I don't feel like screaming. So the question is, if I'm not congruent with screaming or parking, does that... He does say parking. I think he means barking. Does that mean I'm not carefree or have anxiety? I feel happy, fun, dominant, but when it comes to make something crazy, I feel it's not congruent and rude to the society. This is a really good question. Okay, some of you are probably like, what is he talking about? But let me kind of break this down and explain because I get what he's saying, okay? So what he's saying here is he's saying this. He's saying like, okay, John, you basically are telling me that freedom is the ability to like run into the middle of the street and scream, I have a huge purple penis, right? And not give a fuck if anyone heard you just say that or whatever, because you're free. It doesn't matter. You don't have any embarrassment. You're not going to be inhibited by the fear of judgment or external validation, the need for external validation or anything like that, right? That's essentially it, right? And he's saying that when I do that, when I walk into the street and I say I have a huge purple penis and I yell it and I bark, I don't feel congruent, so I feel a little bit weird, okay? So he says, well, I'm 100% carefree, but I'm doing it just to do it. I don't feel it, okay? It seems incongruent. It doesn't fit with me, right? So does it mean that I'm not actually carefree or that I have anxiety, right? He says he feels happy and fun and dominant and all this, but when it comes to something crazy, he feels it's not congruent, it's rude to society. At kind of a basic level of freedom, you are able to get over your inhibitions, right? So for a lot of you guys, that might be that you can go and talk to girls, okay? You can go and see a girl that you like and on the street, and you could walk up to her and say, hey, what's up, right? Or whatever it is, okay? It might mean that you're able to go ahead and like do things that are silly, not caring about society's judgment of you, that you're able to speak your mind, that you're able to overcome your fears in life, that you're able to jump out of an airplane with a parachute, you're able to go on a roller coaster, you're able to get in a fight, any kind of thing that you might have a fear of, or you're able to address those things. But the key to the first level is that you're having to force, okay? The second level is sort of this way where what you're doing is you're purposely like making yourself do shit that is not congruent. This is where he's talking about here, where it's not congruent with your will, but you're doing it as an exercise in order to make sure that you are actually free, right? It's sort of proving the point of it, right? And this is kind of the phase that we go through, right? At first we're really terrified we won't do it, then we do it, we have to force ourselves to do it, like occasionally, and then we make ourselves do it whether we feel like it or not, even though it's not actually our will, right? At the first level, before we're even at that, we can't even exercise our will at all, right? We do want to go talk to the girl, right? At the second level, you don't actually want to talk to the girl, but you just want to make sure that you're not afraid. So you start doing things just to prove you're not afraid. So you just start talking to every girl. You start yelling stupid shit in the street just to prove that you can yell stupid shit in the street, right? You're doing stuff that you don't actually want to do. It's incongruent, but you're doing it in order to prove that you are free. You have to go through that stage to get to stage 3, which stage 3 is where you don't necessarily yell shit in the street, but you don't have any problem with it. You're actually truly free. You don't necessarily go and talk to every single girl that you possibly could, that you have any kind of attraction for, because you're not forcing yourself to do it. It's just the ones that you want. When you have the ability, when you want to do something, you do it, and you have no inhibition, and you have perfect freedom to do it. Nothing is stopping you. Okay, but you can't get to level 3 unless you've gone to level 1 and you've gone to level 2, and then finally you end up in 3, right? So 3 is the more natural aspect of it, right? You're not going to be able to do things naturally unless you're comfortable with uncomfortability, right? You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's how you're going to get your freedom, and the only way you're going to do that is through repeated forced exposure, making yourself do shit that is incongruent with your behavior that you don't actually want, in order to basically desensitize yourself from it and to actually develop the true freedom of it, okay? And the more that you do things that make you uncomfortable, the more in general that you're going to develop this sense of freedom and be disconnected from the outcome and the reactions of other people, self-judgment, other people's judgment, all of these things that which inhibit your personal freedom. When Mr. Hypertrophy is asking this question, okay, most likely what's happening is a process of justification, right? To say I always feel carefree, but once I try to talk or scream loudly, well, then I feel like it's not congruent. It's an excuse. If you actually don't give a fuck, if you actually don't care, then you don't care if it's incongruent. You don't care if it's rude to society, right? That doesn't mean it's the most strategic thing to do. It doesn't mean that it's the thing that you should do. But I'm saying that if you make up this statement, if you say this thing, then you may be at level 2. You might not even be at level 1, honestly, because you may be stopping yourself from doing it. There's a difference here between going out into the middle of the street and screaming, I have a large purple penis, right, as loud as you can, okay? And doing it from a place of actually being free and not caring, right? And doing it because you're compelled to do it to gain freedom or to prove that you're free. If you can do that and be totally uncomfortable doing that. And at that point, you have some level of freedom because you're able to execute what your mind has conceived, okay? But you don't have total freedom because you're still subject to judgment. You still feel that judgment. You still feel that self-consciousness, okay, that is preventing you from being totally free. Maybe you're not screaming as loudly and as freely as possible, right? And you just feel uncomfortable, so you're going to shy away from doing that. It's still not quite the freedom, right? So there's a difference between that and being able to go out there and just really, literally not give a fuck. Now, how do you think you're going to get to the stage where you literally, really don't give a fuck? You're going to probably have to do stuff like this. You're probably going to have to go through stuff like this, but you don't want to live your life like this, right? You wouldn't want to be stuck in phase 2. You want to get to level 3. You want to get to phase 3 or whatever we're calling it nowadays, okay? You see what I'm saying? You want to get to the point where you can just operate your life freely without feeling compelled to do things, right? And when I was first learning to get over my social anxiety, to talk to girls, to talk to just people in general, right? I had to compel myself to just like do it every single time, right? I had to be like, okay, I'm just gonna go and I need to go do this. And I had to rack up a large number of interactions, of opens, in order to get to the point where I could get to phase 3 or level 3, whatever we're calling it, and I could get to the point where I could, if I wanted to talk to someone, it's not a big deal. It's not a problem, but I don't have to talk to every single person on the bus. Do you understand what I'm saying? Again, this is the same thing here. So I think this is important. I think this is important to understand. And I think that most people never get to level 3 because they feel weird at level 2. Like at level 1, they can force themselves to do it on occasion when they need to. At level 2, they're feeling compelled. They're like, Fuck, John says I'm not free unless I'm going and yelling in the street. John says I'm not free unless I'm able to talk to every single girl that I ever find attractive and just do it regardless of the circumstances. John says I'm not free if I'm not doing crazy shit and yelling shit, right? And to some degree, yes, that's true, okay? But you have to pass through that in order to get to phase 3, and only you are going to know when you're at that point, when you're totally comfortable with doing whatever it is that you want to do. And I'm not there in many areas of my life. In some areas of my life, yes, I'm at phase 3, right? You know, I will record a YouTube video about whatever the fuck. I'm not conscious about it at all. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll pretty much do it anywhere. It doesn't fucking matter, right? Maybe there's a little bit of that still left there. Right, for talking to people, you know, for things like that, again, I'm probably at level 3, I have no problem. Will I, like, run naked into the street? Probably not, okay? Probably won't go to that level yet. Do I aspire to get to that level? You betcha. That's about the end of the video, I guess. Alright guys, if you haven't already, leave me a comment below and let me know how free you are. Or what do you think? You think in different areas of your life it's going to be different, but in general you think you're level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 0? Okay, it's okay to be at 0. It's okay to be at 1. Alright? And don't stay at 2, please, otherwise you'll fucking embarrass all of us. And click the subscribe button, join the channel, join the Bulldog mindset, become a fucking Bulldog. And if you haven't already, go take that Bulldog quiz and find out how much of a Bulldog you are right now. There will be a link in the cards and in the description below. I will talk to you next time. Take care.